we've got just one team to go in this preview. We're going to come over to my learned colleague, Mr. Baldwin, for the final preview of episode 1 of this IPL preview show. Episode 2, hitting your feed very, very shortly afterwards as well. If you do want to stick around and listen to our predictions for who's going to win the tournament outright, so we will have a debate on that, even though, of course, at some point someone will name one of their teams as the winner. Do tune into episode 2 because that's where we'll cover off who we actually think is going to make those semi-finals, dominators, eliminators, whatever they're called this time round. But we're going to talk about the LSG.
Why not?
That's I'll let you get your little joke in. I haven't laughed at once. But...
okay. Well, I won't say it then. Fine. The Lucknow Super Giants.
No, I want to hear it now.
Not just regular Giants.
Yeah.
They're Super Giants.
Here it is.
Not just regular Giants. Look, this is another team that has really confused me. I did a bunch of prep on these guys, and I could be convinced that they finished 3rd, and I could also be convinced that they finished 8th. In this version of the IPL. And neither of those would surprise me. You have a look up and down the lineup. There's match winners everywhere. There's exciting players to watch. But are they going to win games of cricket? I'm still not sure. I'm really, really not sure whether or not this team can win more than 5 or 6 games of cricket over the course of the tournament.
How do you think Justin Langer's going to go?
Yeah, no rubbish bin's going to be safe, is it?
No. I feel like he's an interesting, obviously we'll talk about the team, but I feel like he's an interesting person to come and run an IPL team.
He is because he's very intense, and 2, he's very detail-oriented. So what I have heard about Justin Langer is that he has a very, very, very minute attention to detail and that he will leave no stone unturned in preparation. Don't let the fact that he is was predominantly a test player during the course of his cricket career kind of cloud your vision of what he might be like as a coach. In an IPL game where there's 120 balls on each side of the ledger, he's a guy that will be prepared for every possible eventuality of all 120 balls. Now, that might benefit some players in the playing group. It might also detract from players who want to have a feel for the game. The Ian Bothams of the world, the Dre Russes of the world. I don't know that Dre Russ.
Who's Botham playing for?
Well, he's probably retired now. But what I'm saying is that there are some players who will really benefit from that. There are some players that probably might not benefit so much. So it's whether or not he's going to get the best out of his charges. But I know that he will have plans A through to Z in a big file folder somewhere in that sort of pinball machine that is the Justin Langer head. But you're right, he is an emotional fella, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. All of these things are unknown quantities as far as IPL coaching is concerned.
And if those plans go well, and he, architects your I guess dream scenario that they finish somewhere near the top, what is going to go right for them with that lineup and those permutations? What's
going to go right is that their match winners in the middle order and finishing come off more often than not. So guys like Deepak Hooda, Marcus Stoinis, Kyle Mayers come off more often than not. And the top of the order, guys like KL Rahul and Quinton de Kock have big series where they're in the top 4 or 5 run scorers over the course of the tournament. I can't wait for the KL Rahul scores at 125. Is he the right person for the job? Honestly, if these guys are going to win I think they're going to need to win 9 games to make the playoffs. He's going to have to score 550 plus runs at the top of the order, and Patel, Hooda, Stoinis, Mayers, whoever needs to come off of the back of that. If those 2 guys at the top struggle or miss time due to injury, I think that's curtains for LSG.
We don't know if KL Rahul's going to be fit for game 1, do we really yet? He's obviously gone to miss the test series, or a lot of the test series, certainly the back end of it. Went off to the UK to get
operation,
get second opinions and things. So I think the last thing I read was that he's hopeful to be fit, but that's still a question mark, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, there are some question marks around this team. The balance of the overseas players is one of the question marks that I really had. I mentioned a bunch of match winners, but how they fit them in the side is TBC.
Can I ask you what overseas players you have in your team? And then I have a secondary question.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one because if you think that Quinton de Kock is a lock, and I would have David Willey in there as a left armer, they do have Shamar Joseph, which could be super exciting. But I just feel like David Willey's had a pretty good career as a really, really reliable bowler. And if you have a look up and down that bowling lineup, they kind of do need someone like him in the side, I think. But do they just roll the dice and they're we're going to go with Shamar Joseph? Then they've got Stoinis, Mayers, Nicholas Pooran, and Ashton Turner. Now, Ashton Turner's probably at the bottom of that list, but has had a really good BBL, particularly over the last couple of years, to fit into what would be 2 spots if they only pick one of Willie or Shamar Joseph. So how they fit those guys in together is a real conundrum. I think I would be tempted to go with Stoinis and Mayers, mainly because those guys give you a little bit with the ball as well. I know that Stoinis's form over the last 24 months with the bat has been patchy, but actually his value to Australia in T20 cricket has been able to swing the ball at the top of the order and actually been able to bowl reasonably well in the first sort of 6-over power play. So that would be the reason I think the selectors might be thinking, well, do we go with that known quantity that we're going to get with Stoinis with his bowling? Because otherwise you're looking at a guy like, Nicholas Pooran or bowling Joseph and Willie in that bowling lineup. So, yeah, look, I honestly, I don't know what they're going to do.
A lot of all-rounders, I think looking up and down the sort of a lot of all-rounders, looking up and down the out-and-out bowlers, they're probably invested the least amount across all the teams in out-and-out bowlers.
Yeah.
From a monetary perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Is that a real weakness for you?
I think it's a concern. Yeah, it is a concern. I mean, I don't see too many match-winning bowlers in that lineup. You've got Kranal, Ashad Khan, Bishnoi, Willie, Naveen, Shamar Joseph, and maybe some Avesh Khan or some Mohsin Khan. Like, who are they going to?
There's a few names in the end.
Lots of names, but who's going to be the guy in that side who takes 25 wickets and leads the top of the economy charts? Yeah. I'm not quite sure we have that guy.
Yeah, look, I guess the good thing is there's a bunch of guys that can stand up and potentially do that and stamp their name on the tournament. But when I kind of look down that list, missing Mark Wood from last year, we talked about extreme pace and that being something that is of benefit in the IPL. Shamar Joseph, whilst nippy, is probably not extreme pace.
Not quite Wood level, is he? But
yeah, and I think bursting onto the scene as well as he has, certainly fun. Will he stay fit and be able to bowl at even that kind of 145 level throughout the course of what is a 97-day group stage? So look, that probably is what one of those question marks.
The other question I had on here was really some of those Indian players, the likes of Deepak Hooda, Krishna Gautam, Ish Badoni. I feel like they've got to get something out of those guys. I mean, particularly Hooda. I was stunned when I looked. I knew he didn't have a great tournament. I think he averaged about 9 or something last year. Like, he was someone that's been in the India side. He was someone that we were talking about in and around making kind of World Cup squads, having an impact.
100%.
He just fell off last year completely.
They're going to need runs from Devdutt Patel, who we've just sawn actually played a really nice test innings.
Yeah, interesting trade that Patel for Avesh Khan. Yeah, it's a real let's see how that goes for both sides.
Yeah, I quite like him at the top of the order or close to the top of the order for LSG. And you're right, you're going to need, particularly if you only pick one of those overseas all-rounders, you're going to need to have a great season from Deepak Hooda because he's going to need to be the other middle order guy who then finishes.
Yeah. Is he going to get the opportunity? As you've got him on your side?
I would have thought so, yeah. I mean, unless they do something crazy like they only pick one all-rounder and then they go with like a Pooran or a Turner or something like that, or they completely changed. Or maybe they pick Gautam.
Pooran's on your side, by the way. I just think that he's had the pedigree and he's someone that they'll go over Mayers. Just looking at last year, what they did with him, he kind of plays that role where I feel like he comes off 2 games and he wins you a couple, but he fails in all the other ones.
Yeah,
especially if Rahul's not there.
I go the other way though. I have Mayers in the side because I think the over and under him winning you games of cricket is 2.5. And he gives you a little bit with the ball. He's got an opportunity to make things happen, and he's the kind of guy who does make things happen. Pooran's got a terrific pedigree, don't get me wrong. And if they wanted to pick one all-rounder, Pooran's the guy that comes in. But yeah, I have Mayers because I think this side needs match winners, needs match winners because I said it's got a reliance on the overseas players and how are they going to get their match winners?
We're coming into the final minute on the Lucknow Super Giants. They are, I think, Baldy 6th on the betting at 15-2. You think it could be rocks or diamonds?
Yeah.
Where do you actually think it's going to be? And we will press you for an answer.
Yeah, real rocks or diamonds side. I have them finishing 8th in this tournament. I just don't see where the consistency is going to come from against those other elite teams. But if they finish 3rd, I would not be surprised, but I've got them finishing 8th in this version of the IPL.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up our preview on the Lucknow Super Giants. It also wraps up the first of our 2 IPL preview shows.